Welcome back to another vlog. Today I am heading to Brunchin with the Author, put on by Jessica from Literature Noir and Miss Grace Fling. So they are the duo behind Brunchin with the Author. And this time we are meeting with Kyra Davis-Laurie, who is the author of The Great Mann. And I am a little disappointed that I have not finished this book and the event is today. So yeah, I'm gonna wing it. This book is it's right on time. And the reason I say that is because this book is actually about, it's almost like not a remake of The Great Gatsby, but it's in that same tone. So she does explore Sugar Hill, which is like this affluent Black neighborhood that came about in I want to say 1960s, 1940s. This is my second brunching with the author, and the first one I at least was like somewhat through the book. I have not even cracked this one open, but this book, I know I'm going to love how she pulled this story together, because I'm really into historical fiction right now. I feel like it's the easiest way for me to digest like dense historical information in the context of like a story that can really stick with you. So I don't want to say that's going to be all I'm reading, but historical fiction is pretty high on my list of like, I like this kind of stuff. And we are heading to Alta in West Adams area, which I think is perfect because this is set in Sugar Hill, and Sugar Hill is known now as like West Adams area, I think. So the fact that we're going to Alta West Adams is like perfect. You know, the synergy is there. And also it's a Black owned restaurant that recently received a Michelin star 2025. So it's very fitting that we have this particular brunch at the location. I'm looking forward to it because I personally have been wanting to go to Alta. I've heard nothing but good things. I have not made it there, and I think at one point in time it's hard to get a reservation. So if we're being honest, I tried. Let's go. I know you can't help but to be yourself around me, oh. And I know nobody's perfect, so I'll let you be. It's the way you weigh your emotions on both of your sleeves. To the face you make when I tell you that I had to leave. Oh yeah. Like a baby.
So, my first question, we spoke about it on the podcast, but I thought what you said was very profound when it comes to historical fiction. A lot of people feel like historical fiction is a lot because it deals with slavery, it deals with this, and it deals with that. How do you feel about people saying that historical fiction is too hard to grasp?
So I get it, particularly when people think of Black historical fiction in particular, they think of trauma, right? It's like, am I going to read another book that's dealing with us as slaves, or another book of us being in the Jim Crow South and being beaten and working on as a sharecropper? So it's dark, dark, right? I've read exceptionally well written books where there's like not a smile in the book, and I'm like, okay, come on. Yeah, it's just right, exactly, because to be honest, I don't even think that's realistic. I don't know anyone who's been in traumatic periods of their life, even there's a dark humor. Okay, there's something going on, exactly. So I understand, but I also think that if you can if you can move it out of that, and I'm not saying we don't need those stories too, but if you can move it out of that area as well, and show an experience in the world that people aren't as familiar with, of our history, then, and you do it through storytelling, that is actually a more engaging, and in my opinion, effective way of communicating and teaching history than a textbook. You know, Storytelling is the most powerful tool we have, for getting ideas across. And there's a reason why every single culture has a mythology, right? They know that. You want to get philosophy across, you want to get a story across, tell a story.
Just wanted to know how you came up with the concept to want to redo this.
Yeah, so I was listening to KCRW a few years back, and there was a podcast on called Greater LA, and they were talking about West Adams and the history of West Adams, and I didn't know the history of West Adams. And that says something right there, because again, my family's from LA. I didn't know the history of West Adams, and they started talking about having, the people that moved in, the wealthy, all these affluent African Americans, and how Hattie McDaniel would have these gala parties with, Lena Horne and Clark Gable and Bing Crosby and Duke Ellington's the entertainment, and her, the butlers are in formal dress. And I'm like, okay, this is the Great Gatsby of a Hallmark, except it's real and it's black.
Yeah.
And so it just like that was that was literally was one of those moments, right, where I'm like, this marriage, it's like it's kind of perfect. And so yeah, so I just, that was the start of it. And then the more that, then when I started like really going in a deep dive into the research, it was like, oh my God, like this, it's like, it's all right here. So that was how it started. And sometimes, sometimes you just start writing and things come, and then sometimes someone says something like, oh, so it was the latter on this one.
Hey y'all, finally made it home. Well, goodie bags are always involved, but I actually was able to get this version signed. Where'd it go? So, I actually have another copy right over here on my bookshelf. And I was really pleased with this particular event. I just feel like this community is so vital right now. And Kyra, the author, actually touched on this during our discussion, is that there's such a dire need for safe spaces for Black women, Black creatives, and Black creatives being, both Black women and Black men, because it's a targeted experience for that particular group. And I say that not as though I'm distant from it, but, we see in the headlines, right? Black women being laid off in droves. And it's a lot to take on right now in terms of, if you're a Black woman, if you're a Black author, if you're a Black creative, if you're a Black anything trying to bring something to market, or, bring something creative to the market right now, it's very, very tough. I personally have not experienced that on the creative side, but as a Black woman in any space right now, it feels very lonely, and it feels very, isolating to be in these spaces and to not either be seen in others that are in these spaces, or to not have, alliances. A lot of people, especially with the rolling back of DEI, have taken like this hands-off approach, like, can't touch it. It's very telling of certain companies or individuals, depending on how you've dealt with it, in terms of their unwillingness to stand behind Black women or Black creatives. So in essence, she was saying some of the struggles that she was having with getting this particular, or publishing this particular book, and having a Black man on the cover. So, blessed to be able to have access to this book. And I say that because, as consumers of books, we really don't know all that goes into it, but I'm assuming that there's like an editor or somebody who has to like green light these things, who are like, you know what, we're willing to pay for that. We're willing to stand behind it. We're willing to back you as, the publication who's putting out this book. So saying all that to say, it was a great event as always. Literature Noir. Shout out to Jessica. Shout out to Grace. You all did an amazing job putting this together. And to be honest, I would love to be at every single one. I can't say that I will, but if you all have not looked it up yet, please, 1, grab this book, The Great Mann. 2, go follow Literature Noir on Instagram. Subscribe to, they have an Eventbrite. Follow them on there so you can know about the next event. But just know that this is such a sacred space. And I love that for Black women, Black creatives, because in order for creativity to foster, it must have a safe place to reside, a safe place to grow, a safe place to just exist. So I love what Literature Noir has created, and I look forward to going to many, many more of these Brunching with the Author series. See ya.